Welcome back, everybody, to episode 10, double-digit podcast of Buddy Pass Podcast, once again presented to you by The Masshole Perspective. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. I'm, once again, your co-host, Chris Rafferty, and I'm alongside one of the co-hosts, Aiden Crowley. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. Shout out weather, guys. It's beautiful
Oh,
today.
my God.
Don't know
Forecast.
don't know if you guys went outside, but holy shit, I want to go outside. I wanted to find a way to record outside, but I live
Oh,
right
my
next to a
God.
highway, and I don't think that would have been a good
You
idea.
child of nature, you.
I love the sun. I've
Father
had
Earth.
seasonal depression for like 4 months now. I'm ready to go outside again.
Wait, that's seasonal? I thought it was all year round.
Well, the winter segment of it is right now. The spring depression will come pretty soon. But
New England weather hitting different then. Ugh. Brett, how about you, buddy? What have you been up to?
Pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You taking your time today a little bit?
Did I take a while to fucking answer that? You cut out for me for a second.
Oh, then that's my apologies. I'll get my Wi-Fi guy.
No,
real
that's
quick.
me. I'm the one that has that issue every time. That's why you guys have to record this, is because mine does that like every minute.
that's true.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
You're doing good though. You guys are doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did I take to answer that? Was it like
About
grips?
43 minutes.
Pretty much the entire length of the pod. Like it took you
Yeah.
that long.
You were the interview, just waiting for you to answer.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But
What
no
about you
interview
there,
this week for
Rafferty? How are you? What's
Me,
going on with you?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. I think I don't know if it's allergies or
COVID.
my body just telling me
Oh,
to
God.
relax, but no, it can't be COVID. I'm pretty sure I'm invincible. When you have a peanut allergy, you can't get COVID. That's a fact.
That's what I heard.
It already feels bad enough for having to give you a peanut allergy. So no, nothing really much. Just a couple beers with the boys, and that's really all she wrote. I'm really just getting ready to talk about this podcast. We got some good topics coming up. So do you boys want to start with the hot seat teams like we usually do?
Yeah. Why don't you never get to
Mine-
go first? So why don't you? Oh, I'm sorry, Brett. Did you want to go?
I'm
stole his
just
thunder.
really excited about mine this week.
You can go first. I can go fuck myself. I'll just wait another
Yeah.
week to do it. It's totally fine.
No,
You go.
you take it. Maybe we can save the best for last.
Cool,
I'll go
cool.
last.
Cool. I mean, kind of good to start off with mine. Mine wasn't really too interesting. Senators, 1-3 on the week.
Oh.
Shocker. You know what? They were close games though. One blowout by Calgary. I think it was 7-3 Calgary. But besides that, they're 1-2 goal games. Bang the spread if you're hammering the Sens, but a lot of team, a lot of fight. I think for a team like that, and they're only losing in a tough division by 1 or 2 goals. I think that says a lot about their future. So maybe the team of the week wasn't too well, but I think the team of the next few years could be the Senators. So that's all I really have, boys, for my dear friends up in Ottawa. All right, we'll go to you now, Aiden, because Mr. Best for
Yes.
Last will save.
Mr.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect.
If that's what you want to call it.
I literally was this week. Go ahead.
So I had a pretty good week too. I took Vancouver, which I think has been absolutely subpar, but they went 3-1. Their only loss was to Winnipeg. I think it was the night we recorded. But they went 2-0 against Toronto, scored 7 goals in 2 games, and
Not
obviously
bad.
beat Montreal in a shootout last night. Could have had him in OT, but did you guys see Carey Price's fucking unbelievable save on
Yes.
Bo
That whole
Horvat?
sequence
On
Rocky
what would
Besser,
have been like a goal of the year by
Yeah.
Brock Besser.
100%.
Goals of the year.
So
put the boys on his back real quick.
Carey Price been a little inconsistent, but that was a 6 save. And no, Vancouver, I think this is maybe the second time I picked them this year, and I think they
I think
let me
so.
down earlier in the year. Or no,
As
I think they went like 2-1 or 3-1 the first time I picked them, but they did the same thing this week, and they're very slowly crawling back. Everyone's kind of finding their scoring strat a little bit, which I like to see.
You know what I always say? Progress, not perfection. Denzel
Exactly.
Washington, Equalizer 1. Great movie. I think that's probably one of 5 movies I've watched in my life.
Yeah, you're not a big movie guy.
Equalizer.
I was just
2
gonna
was the
say
other
that
one.
too. I was like, you're usually not a movie guy.
I never watch a movie. I can't sit still for that long time.
Oh, we know.
Thank you. All right. Well, good job, Aids. Hopefully the boys can keep it up over there in Vancouver. And now, Brett, what about you? Who did you have?
My team was the Islanders, and they went 4-0.
The Islanders?
The
Very
Islanders,
nice. Very nice.
the new
What
the
are-
new
what's the
Newark
takeaways?
Islanders.
Jesus.
They went 4-0. The 4 games were against one against the Devils,
Wait.
and
3 were against Buffalo, right?
yeah,
When they won
that's
like
literally what I
5-2.
was about to say. Maybe if you didn't interrupt me.
All right, we're snapping it around, dude.
I said they went 4-0, but 1 was against the Devils and 3 were against the Sabres. So not the toughest competition, but wins are wins. And just a really weird thing that happened. All 3 things, all 3 wins against the Sabres were 5-2.
That's
Whoa.
bananas. Not for
Yeah.
Buffalo, that sucks
Like-
for them, but
I just thought those, like, what are the chances of that, dude? Like, what?
losing 5-2 every night kind of sounds like my Bay State Breakers team back in like 9th grade. Holy shit. I think we had a 2-game win streak the whole year, and that was about it. Fuck that team.
Shout out midgets.
Was that midgets? Is that what it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think,
forget.
or maybe 9th grade is bantam, and then it's midget after that.
Why do they call it midgets? I feel like that's not. I feel like people get mad at that now. If I said midgets.
Yeah, I don't
Little
know. I
people.
never understood like the
Munchkins.
youth hockey. There's peewee, squirt, mite,
Some weird illusions there.
bantam, and midget.
All of them are like small things except for bantam, which is just weirdly placed like kind of towards the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
And
Like
then,
might might squirt peewee, like those are all small things.
Yes,
There's no
you would-
growth there.
you would think midget would be next, and then the biggest, like the older
Yeah.
age group, is bantam. But it's
Yeah.
not
and then
bantam.
you'll have like half season, full season, and then you'll have like double A, triple A. Like, dude, they gotta like just do like 1, 2, 3, or 4 or something like that, dude.
Yeah, I don't.
But maybe we should start a petition to change it from midget to like fidget or something. I don't know. Something stupid. I just feel like midget. How is that not got canceled yet in like the society like that we live in?
Bro.
How is somebody like not been like, yo,
Because
kinda
no
fucked
one
up.
no one wants to pick fight with hockey players,
Especially the midgets.
especially
They're like
midgets.
14, 15.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, last thing I'm doing is talking goofy to a 14-year-old with anger management problems. We all know I was one.
they will bully the shit out of you, and
Dude,
your, and your
like
mom.
literally, dude, they'll say like they don't care. They'll do anything for a laugh.
Exactly.
They'll say
Yep.
anything they want. I don't know how we got here, but very well, boys. Good job to both you guys. I think I'm the loser this week. Shout out the Sens. I'll still hammer them every time though. Alrighty, boys. Want to get into a little bit of talk for the week? I feel like
Yes.
before we start this though, I do want to say, not like who's gonna hear this, but condolences to the Gretzky family and the passing of Walter Gretzky. Obviously we're 3 Americans, so we don't really know to the fullest extent of the impact that was Canada's dad, but you know, we can only imagine. And you know, he still played, like Gretzky still came down and played in the southern part of the states, so you know, his effect was here and felt. And you know, condolences out to that. I know he won't hear this, but I think it's still good to, you know, shed a little bit of positivity, celebrate some life, and
Yeah.
during a time like this, you know. All right. That
Yeah.
is what I have for the serious part of the podcast. Now we can go back to being clowns.
Before we hop into like any of the news and stuff, I do want to transition. I want to talk more about the Islanders because Brett just brought them up.
Wagon.
Literally, all I have here are New York Islanders are a fucking wagon.
They're insane,
They're away.
dude.
In their last 8 games, they are 7-0-1.
Yeah. And I think at home this year, they're 10-0-2, maybe 11-0-2.
Yeah,
Could be wrong.
blown Boston out 2
Yeah.
games in Long Island. But yeah,
They're
no,
just so-
Barzal, goal of the year the other night.
Yeah, I meant to bring that
He's
up
a
too.
fucking animal. Varlamov looks like a Vezina winning goalie. And their backup, Ilya Sorokin.
The Russian kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
4-2-1, and 214 goals against, 911 save percentage. He's a sick stud.
It's gonna be cool seeing him and Shesterkin, the goaltenders of the future, kind of battle out that, maybe him, Shesterkin, and Carter Hart being like the three Vezina guys that are
Samsonov,
mentioned
too.
every year. Samsonov, yeah, a lot of good goaltenders.
Bunch of Russians.
One thing
And-
I want to say with the Barzal goal is I don't know why, but like it didn't like completely blow me away just because like the piece he got of it when he went between his legs, and it kind of like trickled in a little, not like trickled in, but like it wasn't like a through the legs bar Mexico type of shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it
No.
still went in. It was still nasty. Like I'm not saying that, but like
yeah,
I wish it was like the bar down through the legs. It would have made it even better than it was.
I think a lot of it was the speed, like getting to that puck first, because I believe the defenseman started out in front of him too. I think it was Ristolainen.
Yeah,
that
he
could be the
dummied
guy
him.
that has a foot on him.
Who's
He dummied
fucking
him.
huge. Yeah, and Barzal just blows by him and cuts to the net around that massive man. And then the other thing about the Islanders too, I wanted to add, having Barry Trotz on the bench definitely doesn't hurt.
He's approaching
think he's-
1,700 games coached.
Yeah, and on the all-time wins list, he's somewhere in the top 5. I want to say 3.
He's high.
Like could be 2. He's up there. Just an unbelievable coach, but yeah, the
System
Islanders are
too.
crazy. They just, I mean, not the most electrifying offense. I mean, obviously they have some great players like Barzal and Anders Lee and all that, but they just know how to win games. They just play solid defense and pull it off. Go ahead.
Barry Trotz sits third all time in wins with
That's gross.
850.
Jesus.
Joel Quinville, number
Crazy.
2 at 931.
Bowman.
Scotty Bowman at number 1 with 1,200.
Because Trotz started
insane.
off with Nashville's inaugural season,
yeah.
and
He-
what was that, 96,
7, I believe.
7, yeah.
And he was there for, I believe it was 17
it goes to show
seasons.
too. I feel like, it's kind of like a guy like, we talked about Claude Julien, maybe sticking to his ways and slowly adapting to, bringing in younger players. But Barry Trotz seems like he's been able to adapt to anything and really feel out his team. Like, the Islanders went to the Eastern Conference Final last year.
Yes. 'cause
Yeah.
they lost
It
to
was
the
them
Lightning.
and Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Or am I on crazy pills?
No, you're
No,
good.
it's Tampa 1. Yeah.
Wait one sec. Sorry about that, everybody. We had a little bit of technical difficulties on this side. But we're gonna move on. But moral of the story is Barry Trotz and the Islanders are a fucking wagon.
Yep.
May hammer them this week. So, boys, going forward with this little pod discussion, should we get into the Tom Wilson hit?
Yes.
Oh.
And just that whole
That
series.
whole
Fiasco.
shit show, both those games.
Who
Ovi
wants to
just-
start with it? Who wants to start with
Ovi
it? Let's go one
just
at a time.
snapping Trent Freddy's nuts in half and paying $5,000.
So, no, keep going. I got a
No,
lot to
I
say.
mean, I was pretty much just gonna sum up kind of what happened in the series. Did you have something to say about Frederick and Ovi, or?
Well, I have something to say about the fucking refs.
Yeah, you go.
They clear. It fires me up. Not even because it's the Bruins, just because of how
Yeah.
terrible the refs were. Not the
The
refs. How
And the
terrible
people.
That too.
how terrible the refs were in both of those games. Unbelievable. But the Ovi thing, like the refs standing right in front of them, view it and everything. They called a roughing penalty.
Yeah.
A roughing.
You think it's because it's Ovi and he just has that?
Dude, I don't know.
I think the refs are just
That's a-
bad, dude.
That's
They just,
like in today's game, that's a game misconduct.
yeah.
That is
I-
intent to injure in a very vulnerable spot. He could have been kicked out of the game for that. And they called a
Yeah.
roughing penalty.
Yeah.
That's bananas.
If it's something that's worth being fined or suspended for, it's something you should probably be kicked out of
Yes.
at least the rest of that game for. But yeah, I mean, I think you rarely see that done. Someone just completely sticking someone in the nuts, but so I think the ref saw it and just was a little caught off guard. I mean, I was like,
I mean, yeah, you don't really expect that from Ovi either.
like you see that in
Ovi's-
like squirts and peewees sometimes, but like, geez, in the NHL, like I don't know, it's weird.
I can see a guy like Trent Frederick too getting his absolute nuts demolished and laughing because he's in so
Oh,
much
I'm
pain.
sure
Did
he
you
was,
see?
dude.
He was
Psychopath.
like when he
I'm
stood up,
sure
he
he
was
was.
smiling.
Dude, I
and-
love it.
Psychopath,
Trent
dude.
Freddy, man.
There's nothing going. Like the lights are on, but nobody's home in that.
But it's an empty room.
empty room. It's just a monkey with a hockey stick up there. That's about it.
Who has 2 goals this year?
Yeah, no, he's playing
Yeah.
great though.
Yeah.
But like in both of those games, I wasn't going to talk about it yet because I was still on the whole Caps thing and the refs.
Yeah.
But Freddie was the star of both those games. All that kid does is go and piss people off,
At least in the
and-
bottom 6, yeah.
and draw penalties. It's unbelievable what that kid is doing
Mhm.
this year. But
I can't wait to see him going forward. And develop, maybe get some offensive tools behind him, and
Yeah.
maybe work on this game, solidify himself as a threat, and then the offense will come. And I think that's a tactic we haven't seen a lot from younger players. But I want to go forward with the Wilson hit. And we can each go like one-on-one with this,
Mhm.
just to kind of get our full thoughts, because I feel like this isn't just because we're Boston Bruins fans and we're from Boston. It's not about that.
Yeah, we're
It's
not trying to be homers
in
here.
my
no, not at all.
if anybody did this, if it wasn't Tom Wilson, if it wasn't on Brandon Carlo, I'd still feel the same exact way. And this is because with a guy like Tom Wilson, that hit has intent to injure and has a very predatory mindset to it. He wasn't going to just lay a big hit and, make Brandon Carlo feel like he doesn't have enough time and space, which is something that needs to be in the game. That was intent to injure. A point of contact, yeah, it was his shoulder, but the follow through it went to his head. Then he had to get brought to the hospital and get tested for concussions. And maybe the games are a little too much. I think it's about an eighth of the season, due to it being 56 games and this being a 7-game suspension. But what my biggest problem is the people online, and obviously there's people that are like, there shouldn't be suspension, stuff like that. I mean, it wasn't a penalty, which is bullshit. That should have been
Bonkers.
something at least. But what I want to bring up here is earlier in the season and other instances of hits somewhat like that, where I shouldn't say someone like that, a different case of this, where you have the Tyler Myers hit on Joel Armia on the boards. And then you have Kotkaniemi earlier in the season when Dylan Dubé
Mhm.
hit him behind the net. Those are players that have their head down and are not scanning the area in relatively open parts of the ice. I think that those 2 hits that I just brought up need to be in the game, because that's how players enforce the game. And it's just another tactic of hockey to make your opponent. Why do you finish a hit? So the next time that guy has the puck,
He was
doesn't-
footsteps.
he doesn't feel like he has all this time to fiddle fuck with the puck.
Yeah.
And that improves his chances of missing a pass, fucking up a pass, and not making a smart play. But with Tom Wilson, Brandon Carlo was in the corner fighting for a puck. He was in no position of just snapping a pass and just watching it go, and he was caught being lazy. This is a hit that really could have fucking hurt him. And I don't know. I just feel like this is an instant of this needs to leave the game, but the hits that I brought up before need to stay in the game, because there's a difference between being a predator and being a hard contender and always playing hard in the puck. I don't want to see big hits leave the game.
No,
I want to see some good fucking hockey, but I want to see safe hockey.
I want to see the safe hits. People getting lit up with their head down in the middle of the ice.
Mhm.
You can't eliminate that from the game because, like you said, that's how these players enforce it. And you want to make the player, the next time they have that puck, you want to make them hear footsteps.
Mhm.
And that's what those head down hits are for. So my grievances with everybody online saying like, oh well, he didn't skate into the hit, he glided, the head wasn't the point of contact. So I'm willing to bet that a large percentage of the people online that are like, this is like, why is this 7 games ridiculous? I'm willing to bet that those people did not watch that game in the 5 minutes before that hit happened and did not watch the game before. So those Bruins Caps game, especially that second one, 5 minutes before that hit happened, was a shit show.
Yeah.
Bodies were getting thrown around. There's a lot of tension and everyone's running around on that ice. And there was an incident like that led up to that hit. I think it was Corrali had kind of lit Wilson up, and then Wilson got back at him. But again, play continued. People were just throwing themselves around, and then Wilson bombs Carlo. So it's not necessarily that that he targeted his head or he skated into this hit. It's what led up to that. And that's what the NHL came out and said in their argument or their statement, was that it wasn't necessarily the hit itself. It's why Wilson made the hit. And the situations that led up to his decision. So it wasn't a hit to the head and he didn't charge into him, but there was intent to injure. And that's where people don't understand, because they didn't watch that game. That was not like a random hit where Carlo was just fiddling in the corner. That was Wilson sought Carlo out in that position to make that hit because of what had happened before. And that's where I think the discrepancy is people don't understand how tense that game really was.
I think the other thing you can look at too is obviously everything you just said, Aiden, about like why he made the hit. You have to watch the whole game to understand what was going on. But even like breaking down like the specifics of the hit, if you look at him, obviously Carlo was tied up with, I want to say it was like Frana in the corner already, whoever it was. And like Frana had a handle on him, like battling for the puck, whatever. And Wilson sees that. And if you watch the hit like on replay or slow motion or whatever, he goes in, his stick isn't on the ice, it's up in the air, so he's clearly not going for the puck, and he doesn't look down at the puck once either. He's looking up at Carlo's head the whole time. Whether it was targeted at the head or not, I mean, Carlo's 6'5", so that's a high head to reach, but he clearly wasn't going in there to help to get the puck out.
Yeah.
And what else would he be going in there for? Carlo's head.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, Wilson's not trying to take out Carlo's head, but the intent of Wilson going into that scrum is to body Carlo, not to get the
hurt him in some way or another.
Exactly. Yeah. Whether he intended to hit the head or not, I think it's obvious that he didn't intend to. But Raph, like you said, he followed through with the head, and his sole purpose for going into that corner was bodying Carlo with some kind of intent to injure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why, going back to my point, it felt predatory. Mm-hmm. Like how the NHL, I feel it, synonyms for what they said would be predatory. Synonyms. Yeah. And, I think we're all in agreement here that we want that type of hit out of the game, but all the other ones, we don't want the physicality, the big hits, the momentum swings, stuff like that to leave the game. I think, it's okay to give a guy a boarding penalty or a roughing call, things like that. But it was a big hit. Were you straddling the line? Maybe a little bit, but these guys aren't going headhunting. Tyler Myers wasn't headhunting. Dubé wasn't headhunting. They were trying to lay a hit, and sadly, sometimes the point of contact could be the head, or the head may be a part of it. And with what we know now about CTE and all the brain, it's a sad, sad disease that a lot of players in every league suffer from. And knowing that we do now, we should act on it. That doesn't mean we have to say no more hitting, because what lunatic just says CTE equals hitting? No, that's not what we're saying. There's a smart way to hit and there's a right way to hit. Mm-hmm. Don't be an asshole and don't be a predator.
Yep.
Fuck you, Tom Wilson.
And I think it's also something to note that since the 2017-2018 season, Tom Wilson has been suspended 5 times. 5 times he's been suspended in the last 4 years.
Jesus Christ.
Is this 26
I didn't
though?
realize that.
No, I think this including this,
okay.
I think this is the 5th time. It could be the 6th.
Either way.
But either way,
way too many.
Either way.
The 18-month thingy, did you see that?
What?
So basically, he's not technically a repeat offender because his last suspension was up over 18 months ago. But I'm like,
That's an
well,
awful rule.
That's a
That's a
terrible
terrible
rule.
and it's also like,
Terrible.
well, it's probably an awful rule, but in this scenario, hockey was canceled for a couple months. We started late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you put the games together and shrink the size, the timeline down, timeline guys are back to a regular NHL season. There's no way in hell that's over 18 months.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
So I feel
So-
like that should have been a factor. But you know, he got 7 games. Hopefully he fucking cuts his shit because last thing you
He's not
want,
going to.
No.
he's
No,
not
there's
going
no
to.
way.
But dude, could he get kicked out of the league? Actually, no,
You
that sounds
can't. I mean,
fucking
you can
stupid.
at some point if it
You
gets
can, but
bad.
like,
I mean, he would have to get even worse.
yeah, and,
like,
you know,
really
we don't
bad,
want
but-
people like losing their jobs and all that shit. You know, just tighten things up, dude. You can play your style of game, Tom Wilson, without that type of shit.
Look at Brad Marchand, dude.
Or like
Oh shoot.
like a Kyle Clifford, or like you know, someone like Tom Wilson does not have the skill level that Kyle Clifford does. Tom Wilson is a great player,
Mhm.
but
Oh,
play that
and-
style of game.
And that's the other thing is that, you know, yeah, he's been suspended 5 times in the last 4 years, 3.5 years. But I think there was a big stretch of season and games where he didn't really have any disciplinary issues. And he was playing this new style of Tom Wilson hockey that really helps the Caps win. You know, he really produces.
Yeah. He plays
But-
great with Ovi, dude.
Exactly. But, you know,
maybe he
techni-
gave it up for Lent.
he did a
gave up-
shitty job this year.
He gave it. No, he gave up being a good boy for Lent,
Oh.
and he said, "You know what? I haven't given anybody CT in a while. Let's
Might
go
as
do
well
it."
Try.
I love Lent.
Yeah.
Continue.
Dude, the officiating in both those games, it was at least the same 2 referees in both games. I don't know about the 2 linesmen as well. But holy shit, that was the worst officiating I've seen in terms of letting the boys play. Because I'm all about just letting the boys go. If there's like a borderline call, just let them go, let them play.
They'll enforce it themselves.
Yes, but these 2 games, it was blatant calls. Wilson should have had at least a 2-minute penalty.
Yeah.
I think Ovi should have had a major and/or a game misconduct for spearing Frederick. The refs really let this game get out of hand, and I think a big part of what happened to Carlo comes at the hands of the refs too, because they didn't get the game under control.
Yeah. Agreed. Wow. We got fired up real quick.
Yeah.
I can't wait for people to be like, "Oh, you
And it's-
homers!"
I
No,
just-
it's not.
It's not
idiots.
even about the Bruins, because I really, at this point, I don't care. It's the officiating and Wilson being Wilson.
Yeah.
You know, those are the hits, like you said, Raph. Those are the hits that we don't want to see in the game anymore. Head down, open ice, by all means, light them up. Against the boards, you really have to be careful.
Yeah. Agreed. We can move on here though and get going with the Brent Seabrook news and his retirement, or technical retirement, out of the Chicago Blackhawks. He hasn't officially put the papers in because, it's like a smart man, he still has cash on the table. I think he has about 3 years left at a little bit under 7. I think he's about 35 years old, riddled with injuries. What is Brent Seabrook bring you guys to think of when you hear that name?
Dynasty.
Chicago legend.
Yeah. No, easily one of, if not the greatest defenseman in Blackhawks history. Just, the Blackhawks are not that 3 Stanley Cup winning team without him on the back end. Just
Agreed.
a silent leader, like absolute beast on the blue line. Just an absolute competitor. Want him on my team any day.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think you can take any of those big name guys from that 09 to 2015 range team, and consider them Chicago legends.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%, dude. They're
If
eating
it-
for free anywhere they go in
Oh,
Chicago.
yeah.
easily.
I think like when I think of Brent Seabrook too, like you said, he's a force. You need to ask him for permission to gain his blue line, and he usually denies that permission for that span of 5-6 years when that dynasty was going.
Yeah.
Him and Duncan Keith could be one of the best D pairs together of all time.
Yeah,
let
dude.
alone Chicago Blackhawks history. And I don't know, dude. I just have the utmost respect for him, dude. Just seemed like such a quiet gamer. Maybe obviously Johnny Tays is the captain there, but he has to be right up there with him with the leadership qualities and teaching young kids how to play. And I think he created a culture that you see in this Blackhawk team now that they have no reason to win. They have zero reasons outside of Patty Kane to be able to win one game with Johnny Tays and Kirby Dach out. But they're finding a way to win games. And, there's just a culture aspect you see there that gets these boys buzzing on an every night basis.
Yeah, and even, because now that Seabrook is gone, I think it's only Kane, Taves, and Keith are the only guys left from that dynasty. And so, but you can see, like you said, that culture. You can see that this whole team, what are we, 6 years since that dynasty ended? It's still the same, pretty much the same. You get the same vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's bought in. This Chicago team had there were no expectations for this team this year. But they've run with that, and they're just, I don't know. I agree. I think
get the job done.
Yeah, they're all bought in, and I think that has a lot to do with how Seabrook carried himself and how he helped teach those young guys, how he helped teach Tays and Kane more specifically. But just fucking rock star. That's all you can say.
Literally, a beast on the blue line.
A lot of young guys there this year stepped up too, and I think that's due to like Tays and Kane, like you said, Aiden, and Keith and Seabrook and all them.
They're finding gems, dude, in these random like Swedish leagues, Finnish leagues, anywhere, dude.
Shooter.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how to say it. Prius Suter. Yeah. He's there now. He has like some Genos and what's it? Kuryshev, another rookie.
Kuryshev.
He's a little gamer, dude. Like they got some pieces. That Ian Mitchell kid's not bad. Bachquist has looked pretty decent.
And the most important one in net, Kevin Lankinen.
Oh, dude.
He's insane.
But that goes to show, like, these players are around this culture from guys that are like Seabrook that built it up from the ground. You see it in the fans. You see it in the love of hockey in Chicago.
I think if you're a young player going into Chicago, I think you might have mentioned it, but there's like a natural high standard held for you.
Yeah, it's
by going into that organization at this time. How they obviously had that dynasty for however long, 6-7 years, and it's been another 5 or 6 since they've been that good. But all the new guys coming in, it's your job to do that again, get that dynasty going again.
And I think it speaks volume. Like, this is probably the 3rd week in a row we've just pumped Chicago's tires.
Yeah,
they deserve it.
Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, they didn't have a strong start, but it's just that culture. Everybody on that team is bought in. Even though their leaders out in Tays, Dach was a huge miss for them this year being out. Even though he's skating now, Brett, I know you wanted to talk about that.
Might be back soon.
But like, all we can do here is pump their tires. I didn't have them in the playoffs. I don't know that any of us did.
No,
I didn't.
But
I had Dallas in there.
I might have.
Nope, not good.
I would love to see them do it.
Playoff hockey, baby.
I believe I had Chicago finishing 5th though.
Yeah.
Liar. But Brett, you wanted to bring up Kirby Dach?
I could pull it up right now and check, but maybe later. But yeah, no, Kirby, he best name in the league, first of all. He a couple days ago or yesterday maybe, he was skating again on the ice. Didn't look, too hot, like no contact or anything right now. It was just stick handling through some pucks. But I forget like who released the news, whatever reporter it was, but I guess he's traveling with the team. And then the way I took that is, in a situation like this, if you're bringing someone along, being able to travel with a limited amount of people, you're not going to bring someone along and travel with you if you're not, at least thinking about playing them within weeks.
Dead weight.
Yeah, you don't want to just bring along someone who's not going to be playing for another month and a half, 2 months, which is what I expected. He, it was supposed to be 4 to 5 months, 4 to 6 months of recovery. It's been 3.
Yeah,
about that. So
yeah,
I think it was because like you said, the timeline was a lot longer than we thought, and I'm pretty sure I saw a tweet go out about his personal trainer, like the guy that's helping him get through rehab, and it was our boy Dickie Coyle that we just interviewed.
That's right.
Getting him through that. So
Forgot
shout
about
out.
that.
It has to be him. There's no other explanation.
There's no way it's not. There's
There's
That's
no
what I'm
other
saying.
trainer that could get someone back that quick.
That's what I'm saying, dude. All the rehab, baby. But yeah, I saw that video, and like, you know, the classic just stack pucks next to each other and
Yep.
stick handle like in a straight line. He's like kind of fumble fucking the puck, and I'm like, doctor, like,
Yo,
what happened to the
what happened
what happened to the ditties, dude? Like, where'd they go? And then I was like, well, he did break his arm, and it went the complete opposite way. And
blew out. Yeah, he blew out his wrist.
Like, I could even have 3 hands and dangle better than that. Like,
Yeah.
dude. So
yeah, who knows? It'll be interesting to see when he gets back on the ice.
I hope he pops off.
I hope
I
he
was gonna
does
say.
too. I don't know. I mean, I really have no idea because he's like a whole month ahead of schedule.
And he's
Yeah.
probably gonna play super. Like, I just feel like when you come back from injury like that, and you're like, people are already like mid-season form, like, and you're just starting, like, you're probably gonna be like a little timid, a little like your confidence may not be there. So I wouldn't doubt if it takes some of, you know, a couple of weeks to kind of get back to the doctor that we know. You know, breaking your arm, I feel like isn't something you just can shake off once you get back to
No.
playing. You know what I mean? So give him some time is what I'm trying to say.
I still think he pots a Gino in his first game. I think there's no way Kane does not set him up for just a sick one-timer. But he'll pull a Stamkos where he comes in, gets a goal, and then he's like, all right, I'll just suck the rest of the game or disappear.
We gotta. I hope it's like a nice little backhanded top shelf too, so we can get some merch going and call it the Backhand Brothers and get a picture of Kaner and Taze on there. Nice little tee for the fellas.
Well, that's the thing.
And the ladies.
So obviously he's back on the ice now, but can you imagine? So do you guys know how Kane like got his sick backhand? You know the story behind
his
that?
dad,
Mhm.
something forced him to.
So
do
when
it.
he was a kid and he like broke his hand or he broke his wrist or something, his dad like made him go play still. But obviously he's got a big cast on his hand. So his dad made him rip backhand shots forever. And that's why he's so sick at backhands now. Do you think that behind the scenes, Kaner took Doc like right after he broke his wrist? He's like, oh no, this is good. This is good. You have to come with skates now. He just puts them on skates and they're ripping backhand shots.
Right after the tournament too, he breaks it off. He goes back into the training room. It's just like Patty Kane sitting there with like a dark robe on.
He's
and
just
he's like,
waiting.
Come here.
I was literally gonna say the day Kirby gets home from the hospital back to like his apartment or whatever, Kane comes, knocks on the door. Kirby's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "Let's go."
Get your
He's
fucking
so
skates.
drugged up
He's
on
like, "What?"
painkillers. He's like, Kaner?
Yeah,
That'd be
but
unreal though.
I just
That's a sick story though. Like
well, after what you just said, now I'm imagining he's just gonna come out and rip a backhand.
the Backhand Brothers.
Yeah.
Ooh, merch it, baby. But anyways, going a little you know, good for the Chicago Blackhawks. I hope the best to Brent Seabrook and the best for Kirby Dach going forward. Hopefully the recovery goes well and the Blackhawks keep buzzing. But going forward, we got a little bit of news outside of Calgary. Brett, you wanted to talk about that?
Yeah, Daryl Sutter's back. He wasn't. What was he doing before? Was he like in a position with a team somewhere else? Or was
No,
he just
he hasn't been with
not
anyone
with anything.
Since the
Yeah,
Kings.
since
I didn't
the
think
Kings
so.
fired him. No,
because I was gonna say I hadn't heard anything, and I think I'm pretty excited for that. I know he's supposed to start skating with the team on practice today, and then I'm not sure when their next game is. Probably soon, but he'll be on the bench already because he had to like quarantine and shit. But yeah, I think obviously Calgary's not having the best season. They've gone through. They seem a little streaky. I feel like they'll get going a little bit, and then all of a sudden they just like die for a few games or like for a week. And obviously, you know, Sutter's a good coach. You know, knows how to win cups. So I think it'll help them a lot, or I hope it will at least.
well, I think their GM is banking on it because you know, he didn't come in as an interim. He didn't come in as like a temporary fix. They straight up signed him to
It's
what,
like 3 years,
like
right?
a 3-year deal.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So this isn't like a short-term fix. This is like who they're going with for the foreseeable future, which I think is wild because usually what you see is you just see you give them the interim title, so you don't have to commit, you know. But I think the Canadians just did that with Ducharme too. I don't even
Happened
think
to Sheldon Keefe too,
exactly.
or Keefe, I should say.
Keefe.
Chief.
I wonder too, going forward, like say if this does turn out and works, I feel like if this works, if they make playoffs and I don't even know, maybe to get out of the first round, I think Monahan and Gaudreau are safe. I think if they don't make playoffs and this doesn't fix anything, I think one, if not both of those two players are gone.
That's
I totally agree.
that. No, I do agree with you. But that's based on the fact that, or that's not the right term I want to use, but that's assuming that Gaudreau or Monahan aren't dealt mid-season here.
Before the
Oh, of
deadline,
course,
yeah.
at the deadline, yeah. Which even in that case, like say if it is the deadline and they are in a playoff spot, I feel like they would still stay. But
Mhm.
if they're not in a playoff spot come the deadline,
I don't
they're gone. They have to be.
think that they could even manage that. When is the deadline? Do we know?
Honestly,
Like everyone,
Couldn't
There
tell
is
ya.
one, but I'm
Is it
not
April?
exactly sure when it.
I
let's
think it's
That would
April.
make sense.
I think it's
Like
April 20th.
mid-April.
Because it's
Um,
usually on my birthday, February 25th. I
Yeah, I was
believe.
gonna say it's usually like end of February.
I'll pull it up. I'm
But
fact checking right now.
the whole situation in Calgary isn't not weird. I was gonna say it's weird, but it's not. What I'm
April
looking
It's
for, but, like,
underwhelming.
April
when is it,
12th.
Aids?
April 12th.
April
is the
12th.
deadline.
Okay.
So
Uh,
essentially a month from
A
today.
month, yeah.
Yeah, a little over. But no, like in Calgary, it's like the whole thing about Monahan and Gaudreau, like possibly being moved. I saw a post this morning or the other day about how I guess going into the trade deadline this year, Monahan and Gaudreau are not being considered untouchables. So I mean, they're at least not considering, but like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
They're open
They're getting their
to
feet wet.
open
to
to yeah, they're
communication.
open to offers or communication, I'm sure. Which I still like you said, Aiden, if they're at least they have a whole month, if they can at least start to get things going in this month before the deadline, I think they'll both stay. But yeah, bringing Sutter in for 3 years is weird because like I feel like that team is often considered, the Flames are often considered to be on the decline, which is probably true, especially if Monahan or Gaudreau is moved, whether that's after this season or during it, whatever. So like I don't know, like I don't know what exactly the goal is to bring Sutter in for 3 years. I mean obviously they can extend that or re-sign him after, but like I don't know if they're just going for the cup in those 3 years, or I'm not sure what we're gonna say.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think one thing to keep in mind too, in this whole situation that also just applies to every team during the trade deadline on April 12th, like you said, AIDS, is with the whole COVID restrictions, there's gonna be like a period where you have to quarantine yourself. So if you trade a player for another player, you're gonna be losing an asset for X amount of time. You're gonna lose value in your whole entire lineup. So that's you're
At
gonna
least-
you're
at
gonna
least
have to
Canada,
wait.
US, at least
Yeah.
like that, or US to
So-
Canada, I should say.
But say if Johnny Gaudreau and those guys are trying to ship those guys off from a Canadian team, and nobody in Canada's calling, only American teams, maybe they don't move him because they don't want to risk like that 1 or 2 weeks it takes to get him into the lineup. They could just completely tank for the player they could have got. So
Do you think then that means that the trade deadline for the Canadian teams is within the next week or so?
I don't really know about if they'll do a different timeline. I just think that I think it's going to be a very quiet deadline and a very, very busy draft.
Because the dates that I have here is that the trade deadline is April 12th, and then May 11th, which actually has an asterisk. I don't know what that means. Subject to change, whatever. Right now on paper, it says May 11th, the Stanley Cup playoffs begin.
Mm.
So are you willing to risk 2 of your last 4 weeks of a season if you're a Canadian team picking up a US guy or someone in the US to
It'd probably be more like only 1 week. Like they're like I feel like with the Line A and Roslovich one, it was like
well
a
that's
week.
because they went
mean-
from Canada to US. It's different.
Oh yeah,
US to
I
Canada.
thought that's what you were talking about. My bad.
No, I'm talking about Canadian teams making a trade for players in the US. Like, are you
Okay.
willing to forfeit? And who knows? Maybe the public health, officials will change that.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think it's if you're going from the US to Canada, it's 2-week quarantine.
I just think it's going to be a lot of overpayments if trades do happen because of that value you're going to have to make up in time that you've lost. And we also have to remember, boys, we have an expansion draft coming up too.
Yeah.
So, like, as a GM right now, I'm stressing probably.
What the fuck is going
I'm
on?
stressing.
But
I have
as
to worry
fans,
about.
we're so excited.
Oh, I love mayhem. I love the mayhem. Unless it's my team that just gets boned over. But,
yeah.
Sorry, Boston never does anything anyway. So
Yeah.
No, we picked up Marcus Johansson one year. What do you fucking do?
well, they didn't
He was great though.
they did go to the Cup final with that.
He was great. Oh wait, we should get Lee Stepniak again.
Oh my god,
4th trade deadline here
Least.
at 94 years old. All right, boys. Well, I think we should get going with some more topics. Do you guys have anything else you guys wanna bring up?
I mean, I'm just like, I don't want to keep talking about the Bruins, but I'm still just curious to see what they do about DeBrusque, because that's just obviously
gone.
just a
Yeah.
I mean, I hope so, but like
Later.
who knows who's gonna want him and stuff. I mean, he scratched tonight going into the game against the Islanders.
On
Healthy scratch, in other words, and
Oh yeah.
which probably means he's gone. But like, I don't know. I'm just curious to see if we pair up some of our D prospects with them in a trade. Like, I really have no idea how it's gonna go or what exactly they're trying to get out of that. Which I'd prefer to obviously get a forward out of it, a good like second line forward. But I don't know what else we'd have to give with DeBrusque in order to get that. Probably,
and if we trade another first, dude, we can't trade another first. We've done it how many years now?
A lot.
Dude, we can't afford that. We can't afford that,
Yeah.
especially in a one. I think it's a top heavy draft, but it's a first round pick is still a first round pick. You can, with the good enough scouting, you can find a nice little gem in the later rounds. And like, dude, we're not gonna like. I'm sorry, but Jake DeBrusque is not a top 6 forward in my mind. He may play in a top 6 role, but as a player, he is not that. I think he's a very adequate 3rd line player, but I don't know. I don't know what you could get for him to make your lineup better.
On the Bruins, I think he's struggled in that top 6 role, but I think as a player, I think he is a top 6 player. I mean, he put almost 30 Genos in 2 years ago. He put 27. All right, and yeah, he's declined since then, but I think there's a lot of pressure for him to perform in Boston. Because he signed that not a big ticket, but he signed a
ticket.
Yeah, a decent little contract for himself last summer, whatever it was. And I think he's got a lot of pressure on him right now. Yeah, he's bounced around a lot within the lineup, especially this year, which Bruce Cassidy came out and said, it's definitely been hard for him this year because Krejci's been in and out of the lineup. They've had to do a lot of roster shuffling, but Cassidy still came out and was like, it's not like he hasn't had the opportunity to perform, which I do think he's severely underperformed this year and in years past, but I wouldn't go so far to say he's not a top 6 forward because I think he absolutely in the right spot has extreme potential to be a really, really good second line winger.
I don't see him putting up like 20 and 20 ever. I don't know. Even like I do agree that like a nice little environment change is good for a lot of players, but like you can't trade a Zach Cassian to somewhere and put him and then he puts up like 30 goals, 20 goals. Like I'm not saying that he's the same player as DeBrusque. I'm just saying that every player doesn't magically just like fit in everywhere or even just anywhere else. I really maybe I've just lost my complete faith, but I have to disagree. I don't think he's a second line guy. And if he's in a line spot, who are we going to trade to make our roster better?
I get what you're saying. I feel like I mostly agree with AIDS here. Like I feel like he has the potential to be a second line forward. Like a pretty solid one. On most teams, he'd probably be a good third liner, like a really good third liner, if he reaches his potential and isn't as inconsistent as he has been these last 2 years. And that's just a matter of, I mean, there's really no way we can predict that. It just depends how much faith you have in him. And on the Bruins, I don't have any, but he might be one of those players that can go somewhere else and just thrive. But
yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't mean to be, Mr. Pessimistic, but
no, it makes sense.
It does.
He totally could go somewhere, play like total shit, and his career is over, dude. Like.
But I got dark.
I just know,
dude. Like, he's just trash for the next 2 years. Nobody's gonna want him anymore.
I know. I mean, we're all Bruins fans. We've watched Jake DeBrusk, the last few years. He competes. Like, there's no shortage of effort and the desire to be that good, which is why
what bought him time here.
And that's why I think if you just put him in a different lineup, change of scenery, where the expectations aren't as high or the pressure isn't as demanding as it is in Boston right now, he'll thrive. I don't know. Time will tell. I don't know what Boston could get for him. I do think they should get rid of him. But
it'll be I feel like it'll be a draft trade, maybe trade up or something like that if we see a nice little prospect.
Yeah.
I think it all depends how much a GM is willing to risk it, because it's obviously a risk taking DeBrusk. There's no, like I said, no way to predict if he's going to turn it on or not. It's just all, what you believe he's going to do personally as an owner or a GM. So it'll be interesting to see who, if anyone, is actually interested in him and believes in him.
Yeah, well, we'll find out. But all right, maybe we should switch the gears from the Homer talk. Ridiculous, but
it's business
talk, baby. We're the bad boys of podcasting. Facts.
Yep.
All right, boys. So anything else before? Do you guys want to do hot seat teams now for the next coming week?
Ready to roll.
Oh, you're ready to roll?
Hot seat players.
Should you start then?
Do players first.
Yeah.
I can start with my player. Yeah.
I need to go. I need to go last.
Should we snake draft?
I was gonna say, are we doing snake draft?
Okay.
All right. Fire.
So my hot seat player this week, I'm going with Kyler Yamamoto.
Ooh,
Kyler. Second.
Someone.
Top five for sure.
Second. Definitely top 5.
Mm-hmm.
I would put him second behind Kirby.
I think I put him third. Kirby, Roop, then probably Kyler.
Rupe.
Roop the poop shoot.
There's
Kirby and Roop definitely take the top 2 for me.
Don't forget Dennis with one N in there. Dennis Carriano.
With one N.
Can't forget Dennis.
D nice,
yes. Don't forget him. We'll round out the top 5 later, but continue, Brett. Sorry about that.
But no, he's someone I've always liked since he came into the league. Oilers play the Senators, Canucks, and Flames this week. We're the bottom 3 in that division. But still, the Senators always, give teams a run for their money. So it's not that the competition will be easy, but Yamamoto has 14 points in 27 games this year, which when I checked was a little lower than I expected. I've watched some Oilers games here and there, and I would have guessed he had like maybe 20 in 27 games.
He doesn't play like he has sub 20 points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He plays really well. He plays solid games for a guy who's like 150 pounds. Like, he's out there holding his ground. So I don't know. I think he should, or hopefully we'll get those points up a little bit this week. But what about you guys? I don't know who's next. You next?
Do you want to go last? You said.
Yeah.
Meaning I will go second.
Good math.
I think my math guy. Yeah, snake draft expert. I think so. For my player this week, I'm gonna go with a guy that just got a little bit of a little bit of backup, a little bit of reinforcement on his side to really improve his game, and that is the Montreal Canadiens goaltender Carey Price, top 5 worst names in the league, but
Yep.
we'll get to that later. Girl's name. No, the goaltender coach Sean Burke. He was responsible for getting like Darcy Kemper, Bringzalov, if you remember him from back on the day, getting him going.
Why you have
Devin,
to be mad?
yeah,
It's
that
only a
clown of a man. God, he's a specimen. But yeah, Sean Burke, and he played in the show. He was a tender himself. So I think a guy with his rap sheet that's really gonna, I don't think it's gonna be necessarily like hands-on technical work with Carey Price. It's gonna be getting him in the right mind frame of saying, hey, this is your net, and you shouldn't want or even let anybody else take it. Getting it back in the right mind frame, because Carey Price did say that he was, overwhelmed and not in the right headspace and all that stuff that professional athletes do go through. For everybody listening, just because they make millions doesn't mean they don't have feelings. So Carey Price, I think he's gonna have a hell of a week. And yeah, I expect Sean Burke to help the Canadians and Montreal. I mean, the Canadians and Carey Price do a lot better going forward. So good hire by them. Smell you later, Claude Julien.
I'll go. So my guy. So I wanted to go last in the snake draft here, because
So then you go first after.
That and because my player ties in with my team. So,
Snake.
but I'll go fellow Canadian with you, in terms of heritage, not team.
Damn it.
But Jamie Benn, I think obviously the Dallas Stars have had a tough year. So Jamie Benn has 11 points in 16 games. He's got 4
And a
goals.
girl's name.
And a girl's name. Yeah.
Mhm.
I wouldn't say top 5 worst names in the league, but definitely
Top
10.
15. Oh, okay. Yeah,
I'd
top
say
10. Yeah, I'll be in the middle.
But I think he's got that 10 spot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Straddler.
So he's got 4 goals, 7 assists in 16 games, which, isn't, when looking at his career stats, it's pretty average for what he usually does. He's not a point per game guy. He's usually like just under a point per game. But I've watched a little bit of the Stars games here and there, and he doesn't look like the Jamie Benn we saw in July in the Stanley Cup final. Like he's just missing a step. And granted, Sagan hasn't played at all this year. Radulov has been in and out. So maybe he feels like he's pressured. He's got to carry the team a little bit. I don't know, but I think he's got to be better, because in turn, the Dallas Stars, who are my hot seat team for the week, are, after going 4-0 to start the season, are 3-8-5, which is fucking horrible.
Awful.
Horrible.
That division's really
bad.
That division for them as a Stanley Cup finalist should have been pretty easy.
Should have been easy. Hudobin's had a tough go. Ottinger, BU guy, in net
I
has.
think he's a bean pot winner too.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised. He's had a decent year though. He's 3-1-4. So you would like to see him close those games out, those 4 overtime losses as W's, but good to see he's taking them, getting points. But I think Dallas has 4 games this week. They have 2 against Chicago. I think 2 against Columbus. Hot take, I think they could go 4-0 this week. And I think they need it if they want any chance of making it into the playoffs this year.
Well, shit, I agree with that though. They do need to figure their shit out, along with Jamie Benn. I know it's tough being the captain, but business calls.
A lot of guys struggling with injuries there too. Obviously,
and
been
that's
out for a while,
and that's what I'm saying. Like Dallas has had a tough go. They were the last team to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a tough time, but I think they can be better.
Alrighty, I'll go next as the snake draft ensues. I have the LA Kings, a team that I just loved watching. Another team that's like low key really shouldn't be winning some games, but they're doing pretty well. They have the ability to beat some good teams, especially with St. Louis in that division, because they're a god fucking awful team and I hate them. They have 4 games. They play Anaheim, Colorado twice, and then St. Louis. I want to be optimistic right now for once, and I think they're going to go 3-1. I think they can beat Anaheim. I think they can beat St. Louis, and I think they'll steal one against Colorado because Colorado, I've been watching them a lot lately, just hasn't really had that
Awesome.
mojo going for them, and I think McKinnon's also out.
Mhm.
So I think that he just really drives play on that Colorado team. But Sam Girard and Cale McCarr, that was a bar for some reason. They've looked amazing, but I think I'm gonna have to go to LA. Is just clicking right now. Surprisingly, getting some good goaltending too. So those are my boys for the week. We'll check
Yeah.
I
in.
feel like they've had pretty good luck against the Blues too.
They
Haven't
have.
been beating
That's
them? Yeah.
yes. That is
Well, not hard. The Blues are terrible. But
yeah.
True.
I was gonna
Which I wish I
say,
knew before.
it's funny how the Kings are clicking now after Brett picked them last week. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Wait, how the Who is clicking?
Who's he? What's
The Kings?
the ones
I
from
don't
LA?
think I've ever picked the Kings. Did I?
I thought you did. I thought you did like 2 weeks ago. Because
Maybe
remember
I did.
they won like 6 in a row, and then they
Oh,
1 and 3 in your
yes.
week.
Oh, that was 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
And
not
now they're
last
hot
week.
again?
Yeah.
God, sorry, I have the
Yeah.
best memory here. Jeez.
Memory.
No,
of a
I don't know. I
goldfish.
totally forgot that I picked them 2 weeks ago. I don't know why.
Brett, who's your
Um,
team to wrap up this little segment?
So this week, gonna be a little bit of a homer again to wrap it up.
Oh, shocker.
The Bruins this week.
Bruins.
They have the Islanders once, and then the Rangers twice, and the Pens to cap it off. They actually have back-to-back against the Pens, but before we record, they'll only be next week. They'll only be playing one of them. So I think they're gonna finally beat the Islanders this week. They obviously haven't this year. They've lost. How many times have they played them? Three or two? Three.
They suck.
Yeah, and they've gotten completely shut down by them every time. But I think they're gonna pull it off at some point, and I feel like now might be the time. But I feel like they're still gonna finish the week maybe 3-0, even if they beat the Islanders. I feel like they might drop one of those next three. The Rangers games, I don't think are back-to-backs. I think they have a day in between. But I don't know. Pens are a good team too, so who knows? I think 3-1 would be my best bet.
It comes down to goal scoring.
Yeah.
That's what it come down to.
Which they can't do, and why
No.
I keep saying the Bruins are terrible. They suck. DeBrusque, terrible. Krejci, I hate him.
Hasn't scored a goal this year.
Yeah,
Charlie
fucking
Coyle.
Horrible.
That's bad, dude.
Charlie
Like,
Coyle, goated.
You got to
Goated.
score, Krejci.
So goated. Well, good luck to all the boys' teams for this week.
Too.
I also wanted to say, just again, thank you everybody for following the account. Like I said earlier, 300 followers already and counting. Always let us know what you guys want. We're like the pizza boys of podcasting because we deliver. So, yup. And Analogy Guy is a back, baby. But yeah, on a serious note, come on, guys, just let us know what you guys want, what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. We love feedback.
Critique us.
Yeah, critique us. Tell us you're stupid. Tell us you're smart. Please tell us we're smart. But
Definitely tell us things you want to hear, because
Yeah.
we will do our best to entertain you guys.
we'll look at Q&A. You guys send in questions, we answer them.
Yeah,
Can be
we'll probably do
anything.
something like that eventually.
Yeah,
soon, a little
probably
Q&A
coming up.
thing.
We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. What the fans want.
Play us and chill too. Jesus Christ.
No offers. I mean, I'd be scared to challenge us too, but come on.
That's
it's
true.
just
We
friendly
are
fun.
sick.
Friendly fun. But yeah, thank you everybody once again for tuning in to Buddy Pass Podcast, episode 10. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the great weather. Watch some hockey and wear your mask. Thank you, everybody.